Hello everyone and welcome back to Everlasting Summer, Round 3. Last time we were here, we were heading into Lena's bad route, because that's what I did. Those are the points that I got, and that reminded me that I need to open the walkthrough. I woke up because somebody was shaking my shoulders. It was too hard for me to open my eyes, so I just whined pathetically. Get up already. Wait. Get up already. You're going to miss the lineup. Once I realized that Olga Demetrina wanted from me, and what time it was, I rolled over to face the wall. I was so tired that I wanted to choke the camp leader just so she would quit disturbing my recovery from a hellish yesterday. Semyon, get up immediately. I mustered up my strength, opened my eyes, and sat up. Olga Demetrina, I understand, but I had a hard day yesterday. Can I sleep in at least today? I started pleading. It's out of the question. Lineup is mandatory for every pioneer. And you've already missed it a few times. My head went completely numb, so I couldn't find any arguments against that. In a couple minutes, we were already standing at the square. I dozed off, taking great pains to not fall asleep on my feet, so I missed everything that Olga Demetrina announced. The majority of the pioneers seemed to feel the same. Electronic yawned constantly. Alisa had huge baggy eyes. Only Uliana seemed to be full of health and energy as always. I swept my eyes over the lineup yet again and couldn't find Lena. That's odd. Generally, she's a diligent and committed girl. It's unlike her to miss such events. On the other hand, that was too much for her yesterday. Such stress. She's probably depressed. Although such behavior from her was very surprising. I mean, I'd suspected that she was not the kind of person she wanted others to see her as, but I never expected such a drastic change. Lena, amazingly, somehow reminded me of Alisa, even more harsh and brutal at times. Switcheroo. And now I was not sure how to behave around her. I was simply afraid of her. Finally, lineup was over and the pioneers dragged themselves off to breakfast. Miku caught up with me near the canteen. Semyon, good morning. How did you sleep? Any dreams? How are you? Ready for breakfast? I'm too sleepy for this. She, as always, blabbered without a break, adding a cute smile at the same time. I'm okay, I answered lazily. Today's quite gloomy, maybe because of the weather. It's quite dark. It may even rain. So yeah, everyone is sad and gloomy. I thought maybe something happened, but no one told me what. Can you imagine that? Something happened and everyone knows about it apart from me? I was sad about it, but then... Don't worry. You won't miss the end of the world. I delivered a snarky remark. Huh? It looked like she was so into her monologue that she was completely oblivious to everything around her. And if you're going to miss it somehow, I'll make sure to let you know. Nothing. Enjoy your meal. I marched to the canteen with a firm step to my daily portion of fats, proteins, and carbohydrates. To my surprise, a seat in the far corner was free. I sat down and tried really hard to make a face that would let everyone know that there's really no need to come anywhere near me, unless there was an emergency. I just wanted to sit alone and think. Moreover, keeping my mind off other things was making me less sleepy. Hi, mind if I join you? I didn't notice Lavia standing there. Strange. Sure. I answered after hesitating for a second. Bad mood? A bit. Did something happen? Not really. You don't have to tell me if you don't want to. There's nothing to tell you about. We kept eating in silence until I asked, "Where did you go last night?" Me? Oh, I just wanted to be alone for a while. That's not like you. I felt a bit more lively. Really? Well, maybe. It's also not often that you're seen so gloomy. She might be right. Even in the most unfavorable circumstances, I've always tried to have a positive outlook on things. Not that I was an optimist, I just always tried not to feel too down. Keeping my previous life in mind, it's only natural. As soon as you let depression get a hold of you, the news will start to look very appealing. Perhaps. When Slavia was done with her meal, I was still poking the porridge with my spoon. I'll be going. By the way, have you seen Lena? No? Why do you ask? I didn't see her at the morning lineup. That's odd. It's not like her. Maybe you are right. I don't think it's a big deal, to be honest. Yes, of course, I was just wondering. I sat for a few more minutes in place, and then headed outside without finishing my breakfast. Today was quite gloomy. The first gloomy day during my time here. He says, but it's just this beautiful sunlight and the birds are singing. I'd kind of gotten used to the bright and burning sun. The heat that would always subside by the evening seemed to be an irreplaceable component of this place. It looks like even here the weather changes after all. Almost like it's matching my mood. It looks like just more proof that this place or its creators are sentient and have great storytelling skills. But the background is still showing some really pretty sunlight and singing birds. Maybe if they made it more actually gloomy, I would believe it. Sometimes I really wanted to focus on a single theory of mine, concentrate on it, and forget about all others. Just to decide for myself that it's all done by aliens or I'm in a parallel universe. Or witchcraft or military experiments. Just to pick one and be done with it. To stop thinking about all possible explanations to the situation, constantly jumping from one to the other. Just to focus on a single one. But it's impossible. I have, almost, no facts about anything. Nothing extraordinary has happened to me here yet. Yes, some odd things took place, but they can and do happen in the real world too. After yet another cycle of similar thoughts, I found myself at the bus stop of Route 410 and the gates of the Camp Semyon. No answers, no hints, no clues. I was walking wherever my legs were taking me. It was quiet in the residential area. Not a single person there, to be precise. My astonishment grew even more when Electronic appeared around the next turn. I wanted to call out to him but stopped because he was going a little too confidently in an unknown direction. It's strange. That goes against his nature. Anyway, what can I talk about with Electronic? And yeah, I'd have to start the conversation first. Seems like I was completely in despair. However, it would be interesting to follow him and to find out where he's rushing to. As a child, I like games of spies, and here's a chance to put myself into a real spy's shoes. I decided not to sneak and hide in a special way and just tailed him quietly at a distance. Soon we came to the library. Electronic knocked and went inside. I stood behind a big tree so nobody could see me and began to wait. He was absent for quite a long time. Perhaps this is a stupid idea because, in fact, what difference does it make if he went to the library? Maybe just decide to get something to read? He was walking fast, so what? Perhaps he has some business afterwards. Oh god, that scared me. My thoughts were disturbed by a loud door slam. I looked towards the library and saw Electronic running away from there, and Xenia, I almost said Slavia, who ran after him shouting along the way. I don't want to hear it anymore, or to see you either. They ran past me, but naturally they were so involved in chasing that they didn't notice me. Xenia's voice will be constantly changing. For whatever reason, I just can't figure out what I want to do with her. The whole situation seemed very funny, and I decided that I needed to find out what the matter was. I wonder, where could Electronic be running to like that? Considering it's Electronic, I would believe he's in the clubhouse, but let's see if it says anything about that in the walkthrough. It doesn't say anything, so I'll just head to the clubhouse. Yes, it's quite obvious that he ran straight to his native cybernetics club. I entered without knocking, but didn't find anyone inside. Electronic, it's me. The sound of footsteps came from the next room, and soon Electronic himself appeared. Hi, Semyon. I'm just... His eyes ran guiltily and his shirt had visible traces of sweat. Going in for sports, I see. Sprinting? You saw that? He asked, doomed. Yes, purely by chance. So I decided to stop by and ask how you were doing and what happened. Nothing special, really. Indeed, fleeing from an angry librarian. It's nothing. You can tell me. I smiled disarmingly. Really? And won't you tell? Of course, silent as the dead crossed my heart. It seems I exaggerated there a bit, but looks like I can convince him. Okay. He took a deep breath, gathering strength. You know, I've liked Xenia since the first day. What? Seriously? I was gonna make a joke that he went in to bother her with his confession. Are you serious? This is news to me, bud. At those words, I wanted to fall to the floor and start rolling around, shaken by violent attacks of laughter. But out of respect for him, I refrained. Still, his next few words flew past my ears. And so I just decided, well, you saw what happened next. A brave fellow indeed. Well, you... try harder, I guess, and you'll succeed. I patted him on the shoulder, trying hard not to laugh. But I laughed anyways. Thank you for your support. He smiled sadly. Okay, I have to go. I have some work to do. I shot out of the clubhouse like a bullet and finally laughed out loud. However, if you think about it, Electronic and Xenia would make a wonderful couple. I don't know about that. They're actually a perfect match. It's strange then that Xenia rejected him. I was going towards the square thinking further about this episode. At the end of the day, Electronic is not such a simpleton. Just like that, he declared his love, even realizing that refusal will follow. Or on the contrary, is it because he's just as simple as an apple pie? Either way, you can feel the honesty and sincerity in his behavior. More complicated people would spend hours, days, months, years thinking about how to present this in a better way, what consequences it could have and whether you should even bother. I would do so myself. No, rather, I have done so. But he just said it. Unsuccessfully, of course, but it could have also gone differently. I can't even picture if that went successfully. Electronic. My goofy voice child. And Xenia. Grumpy librarian. I mean, sure, it could be like opposites attract. But I don't know. It's electronic. These thoughts made me completely melancholy, so much so that the lunch signal, usually so anticipated, didn't trigger any emotions at all. The canteen was chock full. It seems that the camp was slowly emerging from the morning depression. Maybe the sun that had come out from the clouds contributed to that, or maybe something else that I'd missed while running after electronic. Only the places next to Uliana and Alisa turned out to be free. I braced myself and started walking towards them. Eating was still a necessity. Can I sit with you? Oh, just sit down. Why are you so gloomy? It's just that you're too cheerful. I'm trying to maintain the energy balance in the universe. Uliana giggled. Oddly enough, the girls did not pay any attention to me and talked about their own concerns. At first I thought it was good, but then I started to think that they were just taking no notice of me. By the way, where's Lena? Because of all my thinking, I'd completely forgotten about her. I don't know. Alisa answered absently. Has she still not appeared? As you can see. I took a look around the canteen, but didn't see her anywhere. And nobody's heard anything about her? No. Don't you find it strange? Oh, I'm getting Doki Doki vibes. What's so strange? Maybe she's reading, maybe sleeping or something? Seems more like you're talking about yourself. It's none of your business, is it? Alisa interjected angrily. Well, if a person's missing... You weren't so worried when Shurik disappeared. That's quite different. Shurik is a dude and I don't care. Yes, and why, I wonder. I had no answer and just blankly looked at Alisa before going back to my food. She didn't insist on continuing the conversation. Lunch was over. I silently stood up and went out of the canteen without a goodbye. Oh my god, I don't understand why Everlasting Summer has me incapable of reading no matter what. So Lena disappeared. What should I do now? On the other hand, why should I do anything? Why me? Where am I and why am I here? Who are all these people? One cannot be absolutely sure whether Lena is what she seems. Perhaps all this doesn't even exist, so why should I worry? However, for me now, Lena is still the same Lena. The modest, quiet girl I met on the first day. And even her strange behavior could not affect my attitude towards her. In the end, it's not certain that I still exist. So while the world is logical, at least to my extent, I have to play by its rules. I quickly went to the camp leader's cabin. Once inside, I saw Olga Dmitrievna lying on the bed and reading a book. Do you know where Lena is? No. Why are you asking? She's nowhere to be found. She missed both breakfast and lunch. So what? Oh my god. Really, Olga? She looked at me blankly. What do you mean, so what? When Shurik was gone, the whole camp was searching for him from the early morning. We only care because he's so smart. He's practically a genius. Despite what we've seen. Despite other things. A stupid genius. I don't understand you. There's something strange happening to the camp leader again. She was behaving absolutely incomprehensible, illogically. Do you think it's normal? So where's she now? I don't know. Olga Dmitrievna replied calmly. This is too much. I started to lose my temper. Ask Miku. She's her roommate, after all. That was a good idea, because obviously I would get no more answers here. Olga, you're so useless! What's the point in being camp leader if you're gonna be useless? I went outside, slammed the door, and went to look for Miku and Lena's cabin. It was nice that the orchestra girl had told me before where she lives, which is why I was at the door of their cabin a minute later. Are all of the cabins like different shapes? Or is there just like a couple designs? I should have knocked, but for some reason I couldn't. After a few deep breaths, I knocked on the door several times. Come in! I heard a familiar voice. Hi, do you know where Lena is? No, I haven't seen her today. You're looking for her, right? Don't you think it's strange? By that time, I'd started suspecting everybody of hiding information about Lena's location, of conspiracy, of involvement in me being here, of Kennedy's assassination, and of hundreds of other terrible things. Well, you know, maybe. I thought she went somewhere, and then I got lost in doing things. Breakfast, music club, helping to clean, and then lunch, and then... Okay, I see. And what about yesterday? Was everything normal? Well, she came late and immediately went to bed. I didn't even notice anything wrong. No chance of finding out anything here either. Thanks. I said abruptly and left. At that moment, it seemed to me that the missing Lena was the only living person in this pack of talking dummies, and I had to find her. However, it seemed almost impossible to do this alone, so I went for help. Who would be most willing to help me? Of course, Slavia. I decided that at this time she would be engaged in cleaning something. For example, the square. So I went there. My sixth sense didn't let me down. Hey. Hey. Have you seen Lena? No. Why are you asking? Nobody's seen her since this morning. She was absent during breakfast as well as during lunch. Strange. I also think this is, to put it mildly, strange. Can you help me find her? Oh, sorry. Maybe later? I've got cleaning here to finish. It was like a lightning strike. I took a few awkward steps back and ran away from this place. Everybody's useless! No, that wasn't her. It was as if somebody had replaced her. Everybody's a clone! A government conspiracy! Not only her, but also the other inhabitants of this camp. What's happening? The strangest thing is that it doesn't have anything to do with me, but with Lena. Maybe she came here the same way as I did? Exactly. That could be the reason why she behaves quietly most of the time. No, wait. But what about her knowing Alisa? No, something doesn't add up. My head was going to explode and I just started to choke. After catching my breath, I looked around and found myself at the bus stop. I sat on the curb and covered my face with my hands. If before nothing had really been up to me but was going relatively smoothly, then now I was, as always, helpless. But the situation was totally different. Watching the battle fought from the side with no threat to your life, and being on the hot spot without being able to help the ones you care about are two different things. I was just sitting. Time passed and the sun began to fall. Probably dinner has started. Although, what's the difference? I still don't want to eat. I stood up and trudged back to the camp on rubber legs. As always, the only thing left is to wait. I decided to go to the beach. While everyone was at dinner, I could sit quietly and think here. Though what could I think about? Enough, maybe. However, my expectations were ruined. On the beach I met Xenia, which greatly surprised me. You also come here? She looked at me from behind her glasses. Do you think I'm not a human being? No, I don't mean that. Then what do you mean? I'm just not comfortable with any voice that I can think of right now. Nothing. By the way, have you seen Lena? No. I see. What do you want from her? Well, nobody's seen her since yesterday evening. Do you think that somebody could get lost in this camp? I just keep shaking my head. I'm never gonna figure out how to voice Xenia. She's just completely out of my grasp. She laughed loudly. Sure, it succeeded. That was a special case. Those guys are two peas in a pod, and you never know what to expect from them. It's just Olga again. Just got default voices and I can't figure it out. Just fling everything. I immediately remembered the morning incident. Tell me, why were you chasing electronic this morning? Xenia got uncomfortable. It's none of your business. Just asking. Because he is a fool. She turned away after these words. Maybe you shouldn't be so strict towards him. Even to me, it wasn't clear whether I'm defending electronic or just keeping the conversation going. Then how else should I treat him? Well, give him a chance. You know, such an act requires thoughts of courage. You say it as if it's something special, some kind of achievement. Would you be able to do that yourself? I thought and answered after a while. I don't know. Haven't had the right moment to. I hope you'll have it soon. Xenia said rudely and walked towards the canteen. I sat down on the sand and thought, maybe Xenia's voice should be like posh British as best I can. True that electronic was able to say it, but can I do the same thing? That is the question, a big question. If I got the right moment. But which and when? It's always easier to think about something ephemeral, to get ready for dozens of possible situations, to predict the following events for many steps ahead. But most of the time it all goes differently. Even a small event is enough to ruin all your plans. And if you're not ready to do it at any time, whenever, under any circumstances, if you are ready only when everything is exactly as you had expected, it is unlikely you'd ever get anything worthwhile. Therefore, the only correct answer to Xenia's question was no. Not an ambiguous, uncertain, half-hearted, or forced answer. Just no. There's only a simple yes and a simple no. It's always been hard for me to understand that. Between these two extremes, I always worked in a great number of different answers like maybe, perhaps, probably if, and not sure, but I will try. I was so absorbed with my thoughts that I didn't notice how the darkness stole across the camp. Under other circumstances, I would have gone to sleep now. But looking for Lena at night was not a good idea. I got up and slowly wandered aimlessly. Soon the path led me to the sports ground. I stood there for a moment and was about to leave when I heard noises. Clap, another clap, something painfully familiar. I ran towards the volleyball court and saw Lena, who was unsuccessfully trying to hit the shuttlecock with the racket. I stood in shock for a long time. My head was completely empty. I just looked at her and felt a sense of joy. Joy at finding her, joy at seeing her again. Finally, I came to my senses and decided to approach. But after a couple of steps, I stopped. And what do I say now? Glad I found you? Where have you been? I was worried. After yesterday's conversation, it's very unlikely she wants to see me. And what if Lena asked me why I was looking for her? Why I was worrying. I didn't know why myself. Probably it's because she was absent for too long. Maybe if it wasn't her, but some other person who I know, I'd have been worried the same way. Maybe if I'd behaved differently yesterday, she would not have disappeared today. I'm not sure, but I'll try to come up with something adequate. I took another step and stopped again. Probably, maybe, perhaps not sure. Again and again, these words appeared in my mind and my life. Unconsciously, without my will. But why? For what purpose? I have to make a decision once and for all. Although, there are two simple words, yes and no. Finally, it's all clear. I went to the court, approached Lena, smiled, and said, "Hey." She turned and looked at me.
"Hi."
"You were absent all day."
"Yes, I was walking around."
Everything she said was quiet and calm with no trace of embarrassment or shyness. With no emotions at all, in fact. We worried about you. Though the only one who worried was me.
"You shouldn't have."
But you can't. You can't just disappear like that. I tried to smile to make my words not sound like a reproach.
"I don't think that anybody cares about that."
I care for one.
"Why?"
I read surprise in her eyes. Because it's not right. No matter how I tried to be perfectly honest, it came out wrong.
I see. Okay, I won't do this again."
It seemed like this conversation was not interesting to her. Silence followed. I just didn't know what else to say, and Lena seemed to be quite content with the silence. "Are you any good?" I finally said, pointing at the racket.
"Not very."
"If you want,
"No, I don't."
She walked to the bench and put down her racket and birdie. "Okay." To tell the truth, I didn't expect that response.
"Want to look at the stars together?"
Yeah, of course. I sat down beside her. Lena intently studied the sky. Lots of small lights shined above me, some of them were brighter, some were barely visible. I never really understood what people see in just sitting back and looking at the stars. After all, here on Earth, they're just small dots of light, and it's unlikely that many people know what kind of celestial bodies they are, as well as their size and how far they are from us. Of course, it's so romantic to just enjoy the light of the distant stars, but for me it was like staring at a brick wall. It also has its potholes and evenness in the brickwork, patterns on the stone. A stellar sky in miniature. So what do you see there?
"Stars."
She said mysteriously with her head up. Yeah, I know, I see them too. But what's so special about them?
"I don't know. It seems that they talk to me. There are other people there. They have their own life, probably much better than ours. And they too look at the sky and see the earth, me and you."
Voices of the distant stars. I had already heard that somewhere else.
"You can call it that."
Interesting theory.
No, the theory's quite common."
Lena looked at me. In the dim moonlight, I noticed a small tear rolling down her cheek. Or at least I thought I did. I guess I'm just a more, let's say, practical person. She said nothing, just stared at the sky again. But if you think about it, of course, there's endless interstellar space. Millions of planets, hundreds of galaxies. It's fascinating. My voice sounded unnaturally excited.
You don't need to talk about all these things.
About what?
About this. About everything.
No, the stars are really beautiful.
Why did you come?
Now she was crying for sure. I was looking for you.
Why?
I don't know why, I just was.
You found me. Happy now?
Well, I mumbled.
Why didn't you go to Alisa?
Ugh, this is just like Alisa's route. What did she have to do with it?
Are you trying to say that it's not about her?
Yes, this is exactly what I'm saying. Why did you bring this topic up again? I thought we already cleared everything up. Of course we didn't clear anything up. To be precise, we didn't even start to. However, I don't understand why all this is necessary.
You think I really want to talk about it myself?
If you don't, then why?
Because... It's because of you.
Because of me what?
You and Alisa.
Me and Alisa what? We don't have a relationship. We don't have anything at all. We don't get along whatsoever. She's threatened me and I just don't want to deal with her bull.
Don't lie to me.
Lena turned away sobbing quietly. What implied that we had a relationship that extended past that's positive in any light? What implied that? I can understand from Alisa's point of view because Lena was supposed to be the nice one, but Lena, oh my god, I'm starting to get names confused in my brain. But Alisa isn't nice in the slightest. So Lena, I don't understand why she is getting self-conscious about it. Why she has an issue. I understand from Alisa's point of view why she has the issue, but I don't understand why Lena has the issue. Because I thought Lena was supposed to be the one who's stealing all the guys and the attention. Why is this so important to her? What else can I say if you don't believe me?
Tell me the truth.
I've already told you.
Then go to her.
What? Why should I go to her? I don't want to go anywhere.
Why are you sitting here and torturing me?
Are you okay? How am I torturing you? Lena didn't answer. I've been looking for you for the entire day because I was worried. I came here because you're here. I'm sitting here because I want to be here. What don't you understand? If I wanted to be with Alisa, I wouldn't be here right now. She stopped crying for a moment.
Is that true?
Of course.
I mean something to you?
Even taking into account all the things I've just said, this question came at me unexpectedly. Well, yes. And then she stabbed me, and I was just like, what?
If only you could hear yourself now.
She cried, got up, and walked briskly towards the exit of the sports ground. What? Wait! I caught up with her and grabbed her arm, but she pulled out of my grip.
Don't touch me.
Now Lena was a totally different person. And I couldn't say that she was aggressive, assertive, or super strong-willed. She just had no doubts about what she was doing. Wait. What did I say? That's all true.
Save all this nonsense for her.
If I were to right now compare Alisa and Lena, I would have to say I prefer Alisa more because she actually has more of a reason, right? Like, from what we found out, she has more of a reason in the way she acts. She has more... It makes more sense. Right now, I'm just so confused. I tried to stop Lena once again, but she glared at me so strongly that I didn't dare to argue, so I turned around and left to go to sleep. Just imagine how I feel. You make up a bunch of stupid things and now you think I'm guilty of all mortal sins?
Why should you care?
I should. Because it's my life. I'm the one who's involved right now. She stopped for a moment and looked at me.
It's all lies.
In my anger, I banged my forehead on an iron post.
You can just beat yourself up here.
I had seen Lena be many things, but not ruthless and indifferent. Wait, just let's talk calmly.
We have nothing to talk about.
She crossed the football ground and I trailed behind, trying in vain to persuade her to listen to me. I don't know why I'm doing all this, to prove that I'm right? So I won't be misunderstood? So I'll look better in her eyes? Or is there some other reason? Right now, I'm getting this feeling that she's the type to pursue something that she wants, and she'll want it bad, but the moment she gets it, it's like unreal to her that despite the fact that she finally got the thing that she wants, she's just like, no! Get away from me! You don't love me! I don't know what to call that. I know I have definitely seen it, such a situation before. I just don't know exactly what. Outside of the fact that it was absolutely a drama. In any case, at that moment, I just felt that it was necessary. We came to the square. Lena was pretty fast. I could barely keep up with her. I had to say something. My head was filled with different options, but nothing suitable. Wait. No answer. Listen. No answer. Will you stop it? No answer. We'll wake up the whole camp.
So what? What's the difference?
Strange, but at that moment I was more worried about our behavior than Lena. She stopped.
Thanks for accompanying me. I'll go alone now.
Lena said bitterly. You haven't listened to me yet.
To me, it seems like I've already listened several times even.
So what do you want from me?
Me? From you? Nothing at all.
Oh, to further on the topic. Further on the topic. That's what I wanted to say. It's like Alisa wants something. Lena sees that she wants this thing, and so Lena wants it. She gets it, but she didn't really want it. So she threw it away. Or she's trying to throw it away. And that's the more exact thought of how I feel Lena is like. Like, she just has this hatred for Alisa for whatever reason, and she just doesn't want her to be happy. She sounded much more confident than me. There was no trace of doubt in her eyes. What can I say? What can I do? Damn it. I was ready to burst into tears.
Don't get so emotional. Nothing happened.
Nothing happened? Something definitely happened.
You won't lose anything if you pay no attention to me.
Let me decide that.
No, seriously, why? There are many pleasant activities you could choose to do. Well, to be honest, I don't need it anyway.
If you don't need it, why do you constantly mention Alisa? Lena's face changed.
This is none of your business, get it?
No, now it's my business. She looked at me as if she was ready to kill. How is it not Semyon's business? It involves him. The reason any of this is happening is because of him. He is the main topic. She looked at me as if she was ready to kill.
Why are you bothering me? You have her, so go to her. She won't refuse you, I assure you.
Lena started screaming, her hair disheveled, her face flushed, and her eyes bloodshot. It was terrifying, so I left. Calm down, I won't go to her. Why would you even think so? Just see, I'm here now and I'm not going anywhere. She seemed to calm down a bit. What's going on here? I turned around and saw Alisa lazily chewing a bun. In the wrong place at the wrong time, this situation is a perfect example. I just froze in surprise, not knowing what to say. But Lena was smarter.
Time to pass him on, catch.
Alisa looked surprised. No wonder. She hadn't heard the entire conversation. What?
I said catch.
Within a moment, Lena became like she was before, calm and unruffled. What should I catch?
Him.
She pointed her finger at me with disgust. What the hell?
He complains about how he loves you, how he cannot live without you, and stuff like that.
Don't put words into my mouth, Lena. You are least favorite girl right now. I thought I didn't like Alisa. I especially don't like you right now. What? Alisa's eyes popped open wide. At least Alisa showed that she could be someone you can get along with. But Lena is just completely two-faced and just not someone I want to deal with in this type of circumstance. She doesn't let you explain yourself, and she just completely assumes and puts thoughts and words into your mouth, which is the most annoying thing in the world. No, that's all wrong. Lena's just joking. I giggled nervously.
Why, that's exactly what's happening.
Listen, everything has its limits, I said quietly to her. Do you want there to be victims?
Why, I already suggested that you go to her.
I don't know what you're talking about here, but don't involve me.
You don't know?
Lena said softly, but her voice had a trace of rage in it.
The same thing again?
Alisa looked at her frightened. Listen, I understand that you, but I don't know, really. Not a single word, not even a single thought about him, I swear.
You don't know?
I'm super confused. Lena jumped at her and before I realized, smashed Alisa with a powerful right hook. Well, I'd understand a simple slap, but such a blow could break someone's jaw. Alisa collapsed and seemed to lose consciousness. What should I do? This isn't my fight anymore. I decide that whatever happens, it doesn't concern me. But on the other hand, how can I remain indifferent? Am I a real man? What are you doing? Oh, this is where that CG came from. Why did this CG appear in Alisa's ending? Wasn't even part of her route. What are you doing? I ran over to the fallen girl and tried to figure out if she was alive at all. Are you completely out of your mind? If you want me to leave, to shut up, or to do anything else, fine. But this is turning into a complete madhouse. Maybe you need a straitjacket so nobody else will get injured. Lena stood clenching her fist. You could even break your hand with such a blow.
You don't understand anything.
The tears welled up, flowing down her face, and she fled from the square. How am I supposed to understand anything if you don't explain anything? It seemed to me that I could still hear Lena sobbing while I was bringing Alisa around. Finally, she came back to consciousness. You alive? Are you okay? Alisa moved her jaw from left to right. I'll live. I helped her up. I told you about her. Well, that doesn't matter now. You have to go to the infirmary. It's too late for the infirmary. I'll have a good night's rest, and in the morning I'll go there. Again, your jaw gonna be swollen. Okay, then. I'll go with you. I can't refuse, Alisa said, trying to give me a smile. All the way we kept silent. She was probably not really able to talk, and I couldn't find the right words to say. All of this was a real shock to me. I found myself a mere spectator of a drama in which I just took on the main part. After the door closed behind Alisa, I stood for a long time and looked at her cabin. What should I do after all this? Fatigue overcame me. I had to sleep. I think Lena is now in a state in which she is unlikely to adequately assess reality. Completely broken, I fell down onto the bed and drifted to sleep. Somehow I woke up in my apartment. It didn't trigger any emotions at all, yet another day of my life, that's all. I got out of bed and went up to the computer. A message window flashed on the taskbar. I sat down and stared at the monitor. Somebody wrote to me, and that means that somebody still needs me. The message contained only 2 words, wake up. What do they want from me? An unknown ID? Is that spam? And what does it mean, wake up? I'm not sleeping anymore. The window still kept flashing. I tried to close it but failed. Instead, yet another one popped out. And another one, and all of them contained the same wake up. The hell do you want from me? I screamed. Soon the whole screen was blazing with identical messages, so I got up and went back to sleep. I couldn't bear anymore, grabbed it and smashed it against the wall with all my strength. The phone rang. Strange, who could that be? I picked up the phone and heard just wake up. On the other end, thousands of voices, men, women, children were screaming, wake up. I smashed the phone on the floor, but it didn't break and kept ringing. In a moment, the whole room was filled with strangers. They were grabbing my hands, peering into my eyes, and screaming, wake up. I jumped off my bed in a cold sweat. Huh? What a dream. I came to my senses in a couple of minutes and took a look at the clock. It's 5 p.m. How long have I slept? All the events of yesterday flew through my head. Searching for Lena, the devastating conversation, Alisa's defeat. I really had to talk to her. Maybe she cooled down overnight. I dressed up, went out of the cabin, hesitated a little while gathering my thoughts, and headed to Lena's cabin. What shall I say? How do I begin the conversation? I can't just go with, "Hi, how are you? I was just passing by." There's no way I could lecture her straight off the bat. Not reaching a specific solution, I knocked. Nobody answered. I knocked again, and then pulled on the doorknob. More like door handle. It's not locked, that's odd. However, there was nobody inside. Well, that means Lena's not here. I'll grab some food. I might find her in the canteen. Going along the rows of cabins, I didn't meet a single pioneer. That's odd too. It's always crowded here at this time of day. Nobody was at the square either. Everyone's dead! Coming up to the canteen, I started to get seriously concerned. It's time for dinner, but there's no sign of the hungry pioneer crowds. Wait, dinner? If only it was just that. The canteen was closed. Oh, I got scared. I was like, oh, dead bodies. I was right. Looked like something had happened during the day. I sat down on the porch and started to consider the situation. All the pioneers were gone. Without any warning. Wait, no. Was it 7 days or 8 days? I don't remember. Well, of course, it's hard to say that this camp or my way of arriving here is normal, but I hadn't encountered any completely inexplicable stuff during this week yet. Is that inexplicable? I wanted to say inexplainable, but that's not the word. There were lots of strange things, but maybe they're hiding in that bunker. A part of me vaguely remembers that it was 8 days. But it could be wrong. They just ditched him. Bye, Semyon. You're stuck here forever now. That's your bad end. That sucks. I chuckled aloud. He's gonna have to live off squirrels. While all this is very, to put it mildly, mysterious, I was nowhere near experiencing a panic attack.
No, it's just that they left.
I almost jumped out of my skin. Lena was standing next to me. You can't just sneak up on people like that. You nearly gave me a heart attack.
Sorry,
she said calmly. Now her words dawned on me. Left. Hold on a second. What do you mean by just left?
The session's over.
And the camp leader?
She had some business to take care of in town, so she went with them.
Okay, and what about you?
I stayed.
Lena was talking with complete calmness, as if everything that had happened is completely normal and routine. How? Why is that?
What's the problem? When the session is over, the children depart from their homes, don't they?
And when was it decided that today is the last day of the session?
You won't believe this, but on the very first day. Moreover, Olga Dmitrievna announced this at the lineup.
Yeah, even at those lineups that I attended, the last thing that crossed my mind was listening to the camp leader's announcements. Then why didn't anyone tell me anything? Especially Olga, who I live in the same cabin with. I waited for a chance to get out of this damn camp for so long, and when it finally appeared, I obviously slept through it. Well, that's exactly my style.
I asked them not to.
Even if you would ask not to, Olga... Hold on, what?
I asked for it,
said Lena with the same confidence. And what, you asked him to leave me behind too?
Yes.
And don't you think that's all a little... absolutely wrong? I started shouting.
Nope, it's perfectly normal.
I took a good look at Lena. Not a single emotion had crossed her face since the beginning of our talk. It looks like the girl that's standing right in front of me now is not the kind of girl that's afraid of crickets, blushes at every occasion, and reads romance novels. Okay, I got it. Looks like the situation is directly connected to my mystical arrival at the camp. Just who are you?
Me? This morning I was Lena.
She replied patiently. Oh, yeah, and I'm Optimus Prime, born 9 million years ago in the highlands of Scotland. I wasn't afraid of her or anything around myself at that moment. I was just bursting with anger from within.
Nice to meet you. I'm Lena.
Okay, now let's get serious. I think that what you're saying is frankly impossible. Today, as it turns out, is the last day. Somehow I don't know a thing about it, and the camp leader departs with everyone, leaving me behind just because you asked for it. Don't you find that all somewhat abnormal?
Maybe I do.
Are you hiding something?
Maybe I am.
Then spit out everything you got.
I told you already.
I buried my face with my hands and took a deep breath. Okay, and what am I supposed to do in this situation?
I don't know.
And what are you going to do?
I don't know. I'll go with the flow.
Well, here's the flow, I hissed, abruptly spreading my hands.
And why are you worrying so much?
For the first time, a flicker of interest had appeared on her face. And how do you expect me to feel? Glad?
Well, not really, but you yourself wanted it.
Me? You're mad.
And who said yesterday that he cares and that he wants to be with me?
What's that got to do with this? I pretended not to understand, but it was finally starting to dawn on me what she was driving at. Well, I don't want to be with you that much, I just want to go home.
Your wish was granted.
Yeah, sure. I mumbled under my breath. Well, here I am with you. That doesn't explain in any way what happened.
There's always a couple of tricks that could help one succeed.
And you... that is how...
Yes.
A smile crossed your face. If I'd known that you're so cunning from the very beginning... To tell the truth, I kind of liked this whole situation. Well, not really liked, but I was curious. And for me personally, I've just been thinking about pancakes this entire time. I don't care about the situation, I just really want pancakes. Of course, I'm very sorry that I couldn't have escaped with everyone else. However, I'm having a... I don't know what that is, with Lena now. That might mean that I'll get a chance to see the real her. Do you really want to see the real her? Because I certainly do not. And all the answers that I was longing for could be right here and not in some mysterious town which everyone else had headed for. Okay, so what are we going to do now?
We?
She smiled. Yeah, we. We're the only ones staying here. You're the reason why I got left behind. The canteen's closed, and I seriously doubt that there's any food left there anyway. Of course, Olga Dimitrievna should return in the foreseeable future, but...
What does it matter?
Okay, it doesn't matter. Any suggestions?
What do you want?
She asked with a sly smile. I would have grabbed something to eat, and then I don't know.
Well, let's go and have something.
Where to?
There should be some food left in my cabin.
Okay, deal. Gonna get murdered! We went in and Lena rummaged around in the desk drawer.
Well, there are cookies. Want some?
She handed me a half-open pack of biscuits. Aw, how cute. I sneered.
Why?
Biscuits. Like in my childhood.
I guess.
She smiled and sat next to me. Well? I asked with my mouth full.
What?
So what are we going to do?
I don't know.
She wistfully gazed out the window.
But what do you want?
But really, what do I want? A mere half-hour ago, my only thought was to get away from this damn camp. But now, right here, next to her, something seemed to change. Well, I don't know either.
Think harder.
She drew herself closer and gazed into my eyes. I continued to think about pancakes. Well, my face was blushing and my mind was racing. Bro, this isn't the time to get giggity. There's something going on in that terrible mind of hers. Not just because I was in such extreme proximity to a girl that quite clearly wants something from me, but mainly because that girl was Lena.
Well?
She studied me closely. Lena,
What?
To say that she didn't look like herself was nothing. I was not afraid of this metamorphosis at all, rather I was afraid of myself. What could I do in such a situation?
Didn't you want to be with me?
She whispered into my ear seductively. I did. I do.
Then what's the problem?
This entire situation's a problem. It's also... Besides, I have some other circumstances.
What circumstances?
She pulled away from me. Well, various circumstances.
You don't prefer, do you?
Lena laughed. Hell no, how could you think that? Looks like I blushed even harder.
Then what's the problem?
Are you sure that you want that? Considering everything that has happened, the fact that she's suddenly throwing herself at him is the most questionable thing ever, and Semyon apparently can't think with his brain. I tried hard to change the subject. After all, just a week ago I had my own normal life. A life where everything was strictly tied up and well organized, and where there was no place for girls. 'Cause girls have cooties. And now I'm in some kind of mysterious camp with Lena sitting next to me and hinting towards something. How should I behave in such a situation?
Yes.
She frowned.
Of course I do. What's the problem?
Well, I was behaving like I wasn't even 17, which was how I look now, as if I was much younger.
Mine too.
She smiled. I had to decide what to do next. Now, after the session was closed and all the pioneers were gone, I had to seek the answers. Above all, I just had to beware this girl that could change her behavior and even her character so easily at will. I don't know why this isn't an even bigger issue to you. But at that exact moment, I was possessed by only one thought. Oh, what the hell? Well, if you don't mind. Semyon, you stupid idiot! I closed my eyes. She said nothing, just smiled and moved even closer. Your eyes are closed. Our lips locked in a long kiss. I forgot everything at that moment. I forgot about this weird camp. I forgot about the local pioneers that were in fact gone. I forgot about our wacky camp leader. But I certainly didn't forget about pancakes. I forgot about my past life and about my future, if it would ever come. Right now, the only one who mattered was Lena, her soft lips, her warmth that poured deep in my soul, burning me from the inside. Burning me from the inside. Ow, what is that? I opened my eyes. There was a knife. I gently moved her aside. Hold on. Don't you think that this is way too fast?
Why?
She smiled and looked at me in such a way that I immediately felt ready to drown in her eyes.
You're sure, aren't you?
I am. I whispered quietly. She's doing a lot of, not what she's feeling. She's doing a lot of, oh, what do you want? What do you feel? What do you want to do? At that exact moment, I truly loved Lena. I wanted to hold her tighter and never let go, because I'm a big fat idiot. And she felt the same, of course. Time flashed by way too fast and we became as one. You're gonna get arrested. And now I'm the police officer. When I woke up, it was already dark outside and I was alone, completely and utterly alone. I got out of bed, put on my trousers, and had a stroll around the room. What was that? Just an animal instinct, or maybe it was something more? No, it's all wrong, completely wrong. I'm stuck in this camp. I've lost my chance to get out of here, and most of all, I'm with a girl who probably has a split personality and manic depressive disorder. I looked at the sleeping Lena. Anyhow, she's marvelous. Oh my god, Semyon, I'm gonna slap you. Everything that happened between us literally only a couple of hours ago flashed before my eyes and I felt shivers up my spine. Nah, I don't know if it's right or wrong, but if I could have returned back in time, I would have done exactly the same thing, because you're a terrible person, and I'm gonna push you down the 2 steps of this cabin. I smiled wide and sat down next to her on the bed. It was close to 10 p.m. Well, it's probably time to get up. I gave Lena a gentle nudge on the shoulder. She opened her eyes. Good morning. Well, evening, in fact.
Hi.
She smiled tenderly. Time to get up, sleepyhead.
Are you in a hurry?
Well, no, but we're completely alone together in this camp.
So what?
She took a good look at me. Well, nothing. When will Olga Dmitrievna return?
Is it that important to you?
She got a heavy look on her face. Is she a yandere? Well, without food, we're going to die here. There's squirrels. You can eat the squirrels. I laughed.
You're free to leave then.
She looked away towards the wall. But how can I leave?
On the bus, of course.
There are no buses here.
Then why do you think there's a bus stop for bus route 410 here?
Frankly, I don't know.
I told Olga Dmitrievna that I had some matters to urgently resolve here with you, and we'd come later.
What? I felt like I'd been struck by lightning. I didn't know what I should be more surprised about, the fact that there are buses passing here, or by the fact that the camp leader agreed to leave 2 pioneers behind in an empty camp just like that.
What I said.
You mean that we can leave?
Go on, no one's holding you.
She said all that while sitting utterly still. In fact, so still that her words gave me grave cold chills. Okay, I'm sorry that I reacted this way, it's just everything that's happened today has been a total surprise for me.
You don't look too surprised a few hours ago.
I probably said something wrong. Completely wrong. Yeah, you wanted to leave. That was what was wrong. Well, don't get offended. We won't be staying here till the end of times, right? If there's a way to leave. Lena didn't say anything. I looked at her back and tried to understand what she's thinking.
Fine.
She exclaimed cheerfully after a pause, then jumped off the bed and started to dress quickly.
Come on, pack your stuff. Meet me at the square in 10 minutes.
Lena leaned over and gave me a passionate kiss. Alright. Alright, that's not weird. It's not weird at all. I stepped out of her cabin and ran to the camp leader's cabin. Frankly speaking, I had almost nothing to pack. I tossed my winter clothing into a bag, shoved my phone into my pocket, and headed to the square. 15 minutes have passed already, but Lena still wasn't here. I justified it with the fact that she had lots of stuff to pack, and accordingly she needs more time to get ready. Two hours later. However, she didn't come even half an hour, and I started to suspect something. My legs ushered me to her cabin before I realized it. I flung the door open and saw Lena lying on the bed. Everything around her was soaked with blood. The bed sheets, the blanket, the floor was wet with blood, and I could see a huge slit on Lena's forearm. I ran to her and started shaking her by her shoulders. "Lena? Lena? Why?" She was still conscious.
Hi, Semyon.
A weak smile froze on her lips. "Hang on. Hey, don't pass out. I'll think of something right now. Listen, everything's going to be fine. You're not going to die." Of course, I didn't believe it myself. Lena had slit her veins from her elbow all the way down to her wrist. It was a deep cut, and given all the time I've spent waiting for her at the square, she'd bled a lot. Probably even an ambulance wouldn't do anything by now, and here in the empty camp, away from the world, Lena had zero chance of survival. How stupid can you be? I embraced and held her tightly. Tears were running down my cheeks, disappearing in her hair. I've never cried so hard in my entire life. Fool! Why did you have to cut down the road? Everyone else does it across the street and you cut down the road.
Sorry. It happened as it did,
she muttered faintly. But why? Why?
I'm tired. So tired.
Lena went silent. I looked straight into her eyes. She was still conscious, but the last flicker of life was quickly dying in her.
I'm so tired of it all. Wearing a mask. Suffering. I just wanted to be with you. But you've left me too.
I never went anywhere. Here I am. Why? What have you done?
I'm sorry.
I was choked with tears, unable to say anything.
I'm sorry. I'll be seeing you later.
I embraced her even tighter. Lena's breath was getting weaker, and soon enough it stopped forever. Horror-struck, I jumped away from the bed. My eyes went dark, my heart was beating wildly, and I spotted the blood-stained knife lying on the floor. A moment later, I was holding it in my hands. The blade halted a hair's breadth away from my wrist. But why? How would that happen? I sat there completely freaked out and just stared at Lena. No. You aren't dead. I exploded with hysterical laughter. Come on, sleepyhead, it's time to wake up. I said softly and shook her by the shoulders. But Lena didn't wake up. What am I? What have I done? I jumped out of the cabin in horror and ran like mad. I don't know how much time passed, but finally I wore myself out and collapsed on the ground. Hostile silence was all around me, and only the stars looked down on me in quiet rebuke. These were the same stars that Lena admired yesterday. Yet another crying spell tore me apart. Why? Why did she do it? Because I left her? Where had I gone? I never left her and wasn't going to. Only at this moment did I realize that she was truly important to me. I realized that despite all her quirks, everything that happened today, everything that happened during the short period of our acquaintance, she'd suddenly become the most precious thing in my life. And I instantly forgot about her feelings, as soon as I heard about that damn bus. Indeed, it can't justify her act, but how could I have stopped thinking of her at all? I lay there for a long time watching the stars. The trees were peacefully swaying in the gentle night breeze above my head. The trees didn't give a damn about what was happening to me. The landscape seemed familiar. Suppressing my tears, I headed back towards the camp. Everything here seemed to be the same as yesterday, as a few days ago. The square, Genda's memorial, the cabins of the pioneers. Lena's cabin. I was all torn up inside. It felt like the pain would tear my body into millions of little pieces any moment now. I fell to my knees and began punching the ground until my fists were completely stained with blood. If only I'd realized just a bit earlier. Just a moment earlier. I'm not asking for more. She was so... Even the slightest of hints was enough for her. Only at this moment did I realize that Lena had died. And a part of me had died with her. Probably the part of me that I would call the best. I came to my senses after a while, standing in her cabin. The blood had dried up already, the moonlight was no longer reflected in it. I went to her bed and sat down next to Lena's body. I was terribly afraid to be here, but I felt that I had to tell her something. I'm sorry. I started. It's far too late, of course, but if you can hear me out there somewhere, just remember, please, I will love you forever for the rest of my life. And that was the plain truth. I'm sorry that I ignored your feelings. I'm sorry that I always thought only about myself. I'm sorry for everything. It was me who should have died, not you. That's what I expected, honestly. I covered her body with a blanket and slowly left the cabin. I regained consciousness at the bus stop. So running away, scumbag, I muttered darkly to myself. I couldn't stand to stay a single minute longer in this camp. Lena will never come back. I can't justify what I have done. I'll just wait for the bus that will take me away from here. I didn't give the slightest damn about what's going to happen to me tomorrow or in an hour. I don't care about answers. I don't care about how I got here. Soon enough, I saw a glimmer of dim light in the distance. Somehow, I wasn't surprised at all. In a minute, I was sitting in an empty number 410 bus and was looking into the dark of the night through a weather-beaten window. My mind was blank. Everything that makes us human, feelings, emotions, aspirations, suffering, I left it all back there in that pioneer camp. Now all I have is this night in the empty bus. There's no more future, no more present. If I died tomorrow, that would only mean that yet another human body had ceased to exist. The real me died there a few hours ago. I don't know how much time passed, but the fatigue overtook me. I wasn't going to fight it, as it absolutely made no difference whether I'm sleeping or awake. I could barely hold my eyes open, and soon enough I passed out. There are moments when reality becomes unimportant, insignificant, unworthy of attention. There are moments when your spiritual torment overshadows everything else. And even if the world ended, you would not notice. If a knife were to pierce you, you would not notice. Even boiling for eternity in the cauldrons of hell would seem like just a minor inconvenience. After all, there are problems more important than that. When I opened my eyes, I realized that something's wrong. It took a while for clarity of thought to return. Finally, I realized that I'm not in a bus, but in my old apartment. Well, that was to be expected. As if I'd spent a whole week preparing for an exam and at the last minute had spectacularly failed. And the result of this failure was my return to the real world. However, now it didn't seem any more real to me than the Semyon pioneer camp. No wonder. Reality is what you can hear, feel, touch, and taste. And all that was really there. That world was real to the smallest detail. Sometimes it seemed more like it was my past life that was a fiction. And now I have to remember how to exist here. Though why? I felt like a man who had been thrown out of the car at full speed without even noticing it. and was left lying on the roadside with broken arms and legs while the car disappeared into the night, taking with it that last traces of hope. Lena. Her image surfaced in my fevered brain so clearly that I wanted to cry unbearably. No. I wanted to shout, tearing out clumps of hair, smashing my fists on the wall while making inhuman screams. However, my soul was empty. I tried in vain to find at least the echoes of pain, guilt, or pity for her, but nothing came. I was just lying here and staring at the ceiling. I was not at all interested in how and why I came back. After all, who cares about the process of selling your soul to the devil? All the legal formalities of the contract, signatures, stamps, and seals. What is more important is the result. And this is the result I got. No, it's not that I was sent back to reality. If I had gotten to the destination on that bus, it would hardly have changed anything for me. In this case, the result is what happened to Lena. And the reason is my actions. I was absolutely sure about that. After all, she could not just do that for no reason. No, Lena is not like that. So it's all my fault. It is hard to live knowing that you were the reason for someone else's death. As if I personally held the knife, calmly and carefully slit open her wrist and watched her die. And then just ran away. Of course, I couldn't do anything in that situation, but I still felt that I'd behaved like a coward. No, even worse. Although, does it really matter what the best definition of my actions is? I cursed myself for remaining so calm while thinking about the situation. After all, I should be mourning Lena and blaming myself. But now nothing is up to me, if I was not able to back then. I started shivering, my body was trembling, and it was getting hard to breathe. Self-preservation instincts overtook guilt for a while, and I staggered to the kitchen to drink a sedative. They can always be found in the cupboard of every antisocial person like me. Once I'd taken half of the tablets that were in the packet, I returned to the room and turned on the computer. Remaining in silence was unbearable. I played the first random song and soon realized that it was probably the most depressing piece of music I had in my hard drive. However, I didn't want to turn it off. The background noises helped dampen my thoughts. I had to decide what to do with my life next. I was sure about one thing. Everything that happened in the camp, my appearance in it, my unexpected return, I didn't care about any of it. And not just that. I didn't care about the context or the reasons for those events either. The only thing that mattered was Lena. I horribly stumbled over the word was. Indeed, she's gone. Of course, it's possible that it was just a dream and she never existed in the first place. But then again, our real world could just be someone's raving delusion as well. Why not? If people suffer from losing their loved ones here, why should I think of Lena's death there as just the result of my sick imagination? I saw it all with my own eyes. I felt the shock, fear, and fright. Damn it. For me, it's not that it was reality. It still is reality. Is and will be. And I'm sure I'm not daydreaming. Though it would be better if I dreamed that. The dreadful howl of guitars boomed from the speakers. It sounded like a requiem. A requiem for me. And now I have to live with the sense of guilt. No, I won't take it. My mind wasn't exactly a paragon of stability, but not even a man with a stable mind could withstand shocks like this. And I already feel that I'm going mad. I tried to suppress all these thoughts. No, not to forget, just to give myself some rest. Just for a minute. But it didn't work. Pain racked my body again and again. I was already starting to feel it physically. However, physical pain is always weaker than mental. I fell to the floor, clasped my knees, and began rocking back and forth in a fetal position. Blood pounded in my head so heavily that it felt like my skull could shatter any moment now. I hit a table leg and a little candle rolled out from under a pile of papers. The little one, 20 centimeters long, it was bent at an almost 90-degree angle, but still retained its shape. The wick protruded from one end. I searched for a lighter and lit up the candle. Let it be in memory of Lena. Maybe in another world she's feeling better then. I sat on the floor and watched as the wax slowly dripped onto my fingers. I felt no pain at all. Probably my nervous system was so exhausted that it was unable to transmit the pain impulses to my brain. The fire calmed me a little. I just watched the flame and did not think about anything. Finally, at least some peace of mind. The candle was halfway done. Suddenly I imagined that my life is this very candle. Not just mine, any person's life. All that we have been given from above is its full length. But anything can happen. The wind may blow, the hand holding may tremble, or the wick may burn out. And life will end before it should have. But after all, each candle can be different. Such as this one, 9 cents. One twice as thick, 20 and huge ones as thick as the handle of a shovel. 185. Oh, is he talking about how much the candles cost? I wonder, did Lena's candle burn out ahead of its time, or was it just smaller than the other ones? Though I doubt there can be one smaller than mine. I rotated the candle in my hands. How interesting is that I can blow out the flame any moment and that's it. But in the meantime, life is not war. You can't combine 2 small candles to make one of medium size. I would love to give the remains of mine to Lena. To anyone who needs it more than I do. Why would I need it? I don't feel pain from the heated wax. Its flame does not give me any warmth. It hardly illuminates the room. To put it bluntly, a waste of ropes, wax, and oxygen. I blew out the candle. This action evoked absolutely no emotions in me. I slowly stood up and headed to the bathroom. Cut down the road and not across the street. Everyone else cuts across, but you're going right down The image of Lena appeared before my eyes. She was smiling. We'll definitely meet again. I'm so sorry. Warm water, shadows, and dying dreams have finally brought me some peace. It really might be that I never actually went to that camp, or that I never actually came back. But does it really matter now? I almost physically felt Lena's embrace. Everything will be alright. We'll catch the bus together and ride it to that place, where nobody will find us, where we'll be happy together. My strength left me, and I started to sink into the water that was already spilling over the edge of the tub. We will surely meet. Forgive me. Not exactly fond of... I'm not exactly fond of the fact that the ending credits picture was of Bad End Semyon. We already had that for quite a bit, and having to see it again wasn't exactly a fun time. Just waiting for the credits to go by. Oh, Jesus. I mean, there's nothing I could really say about that entire thing. It's definitely a lot different from how she acted in Alisa's. She actually accepted that he didn't like her. And then this one, despite the fact that he was trying to explain himself, it really went off the deep end. Well, anyways, that was Lena's bad ending, and we're gonna get into her good end. This is gonna be a very long video, from what I can see. So this is definitely separated from the first one, which nothing... I think there's like a few things that happened. Oops. Not very smart in the way I did this, but that's okay.